Beware of the dark side. Human beings like to pretend that they're mature, rational, and in control. This is one of the myths that governs our society, despite the abundant evidence to the contrary. However, there is, always has been, and always will be a very dark side to human nature. In fact, we see it almost every day. Consider, for example, the capacity of human beings for cruelty. Look, I'm not immune to this. I know that this capacity resides in me too. The cruelty may be physical or emotional. It may be expressed in blows or in words. It can arise in individuals, in groups, or in nations. When do I want to lash out to hurt someone? Well, first of all, when I've been hurt or threatened myself. This is not merely self-defense, it's revenge, payback. The difference is the emotion behind the act. When I defend myself, I feel mostly fear. My response is largely defensive, although this might actually involve striking back. But it's after the immediate danger has passed that the cruelty sets in. Now, any action I take to hurt the other person isn't motivated simply by the need to defend myself, but to pay them back, to make them hurt too. There's no benefit in this other than the satisfaction I feel by causing such pain. Is it shocking to say this? Possibly. I think as human beings we're terrified to admit that hurting someone else can actually make us feel good. It gives us a sense of power. This may be unpalatable, but I fear that it's nevertheless true. But secondly, I feel like lashing out when I'm angry. If someone is denying me something, standing in my way, it triggers the desire to hurt. In a strange way, this is also linked to a feeling of having been hurt by the other person, because they have prevented me from enjoying some pleasure or taking advantage of an opportunity, and we perceive this as an injury. We have a very broad definition of injury, and it's rarely difficult to justify some kind of retaliation. This also has its roots in our extremely competitive nature, the desire to be top dog. I applaud the battle for everyone to have equal rights and opportunities in this world, but rights can so easily be co-opted into the service of selfishness and self-aggrandizement. Thirdly, I might feel like lashing out when I'm in pain. We recognize this in other animals too. An injured animal will often attack anyone that tries to help it. Human beings have an enormous capacity for pain, both physical and psychological. If I'm in pain, my tolerance is low, my energy is being drained, and I'm susceptible to lashing out. The target of our attack may or may not have any connection at all to the origin of our pain. Human beings are very fragile. A cruel word directed towards us by someone can give rise to a strong desire either to run away and hide or to strike back, sometimes both at the same time. There's much in the world today that either hurts us or threatens to hurt us. There is intense competition for resources and for power and for influence. Many of us are in a fragile state, nursing wounds, sometimes the origins of which have been lost to us. Is it at all surprising that individuals, groups, and nations frequently lash out at each other with cruelty? I've tried to speak personally here. I'm owning up to feelings that I suspect all of us have, although we try to pretend that that's not the case. I've been watching the latest season of Fargo recently, and in one episode they talk about Minnesota Nice. A documentary about the making of the original movie Fargo was called, in fact, Minnesota Nice. The suggestion is that this nice is just a facade covering up frustration, crushed desires, and perhaps even rage. As in so many of these things, one of the keys to dealing with such unwelcome and oft denied feelings is to acknowledge their presence. They're part of us, and we need to own them. And only in doing so can we also distance ourselves from them and prevent them from controlling us.